Hello YouTubers, this is Elton and Laura Fan, and I have decided to do a video of my compact disc collection since I have already done one for my LPs and my 45s. So, let's get started. Alright, most of these are original mid-80s releases. I will note the ones that aren't, of course. First, we've got Elton's self-titled album on the MCA label. Then we're up to 11/17/70 on the MCA label. On to Tumbleweed Connection, also MCA. Madman Across the Water. Honky Chateau. Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player. Then we have Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, a special 2-disc release. There's disc 1. And disc 2. For some strange reason, both of the backs show the entire track listing for both discs, and oddly enough, they have Funeral for a Friend and Love Lies Bleeding listed as 2 separate tracks when they are not. On to Caribou. And then on to Greatest Hits, which has a coding of DIDX52, which probably will not focus on the here, but of course that means that this was the 52nd album to ever be released on compact disc. Some of these also have the DIDX numbers, but aren't really that monumentous. On to Empty Sky. Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Rock of the Westies. Here and There. And Blue Moves. This one only contains 14 tracks compared to the original 18 of the original album. It says down here, in our effort to bring you the original album for the cost of a single CD, we have omitted 4 selections due to the length of the original album. At the time, I think around this time, 74 minutes was the maximum for a compact disc. The original run of Blue Moves it's 84 minutes, I believe. It's 82 or 84, I'm not quite sure. So they had to remove some tracks. In other countries, like Australia, where that was released on the Rocket Record Company, they actually omitted different tracks than MCA did for the United States and Canada. On to Greatest Hits Volume 2. This one also has a DIDX number, and it is, well, this one's actually DIDY 375. On to A Single Man. Next up, Victim of Love. This one actually got water damage, but it survived. Can't remember how that happened, actually. A long time ago, though. And on to 21 at 33. Now Elton changed record labels. The first one that I have is Too Low for Zero on Geffen. Next up, Breaking Hearts. This is Japanese import, and on the disc itself, near the center, it says manufactured by Sanyo, or Sanyo, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Next is Ice on Fire. Then comes Leather Jackets. One of the harder ones to find on compact disc on Geffen label. Second or third to the Fox and Jump Up, which obviously, as you can see through the timeline, I don't have those yet. They are still eluding me. In the middle of this, in fact, this is in the wrong spot. Actually, this should have came around just before Ice on Fire, in between Breaking Hearts. During the height of release of compact discs, MCA came out with Your Songs, which is a US only release. It's basically just a compilation album. It's got Your Song, Country Comfort, Tiny Dancer, Burn Down the Mission, Friends, Take Me to the Pilot, Candle in the Wind, Elderberry Wine, Razorface, and Harmony. Alright. And then Elton returns to MCA after Leather Jackets with Live in Australia with the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra. Just around the same time that was released, Geffen still had contractual obligations. So, to finish out Elton's contract, they threw together Greatest Hits Volume 3, 1979 to 1987. Which, that release really ticked Elton off because it came out just around the time of Live in Australia, and he considered it competition for his best work and best live performance he had done to the date. So that ended Elton's contract with Geffen. Now on to Red Strikes Back. Sleeping with the Past. And then comes, in '89, the complete Thom Bell Sessions, which tracks 4, 5, and 6 were released as an EP called The Thom Bell Sessions. And that was in 1979. All these were recorded in '77. But complications came along, and Mama Can't Buy Your Love, Are You Ready for Love, and Three-Way Love Affair weren't released until '79. The other 3 tracks were shelved. There was talk in '83 about releasing those, but that project ended up getting scrapped. And then eventually, of course, in '89, they were all released on one CD and or cassette. Up next, The One, after MCA's logo change. By that time, also Geffen had been merged into MCA. And Greatest Hits Volume 3 got deleted. This was its replacement. Greatest Hits 1976 to 1986. There are a few compact discs of Greatest Hits Volume 3, 1979 to 1987 that are on the MCA label. I have seen one. Up next, Duets. I actually just love that picture. Elton looks awesome in that. After that, Elton once again leaves MCA. And here we have Believe. I'm sorry, Made in England. The big track was Believe on the album. Made like the CDs were in England, with the outside kind of cardboard box cover. And Elton's love-hate relationship with MCA continues and comes back with Love Songs, which was basically an answer to the worldwide release of Love Songs a year before in '95. And once again, leaves MCA and with his own label records on Rocket, The Big Picture. Following that is The Muse, which is the soundtrack to the same movie, which Elton composed the orchestral arrangements for this movie and did an excellent job, in my opinion. Next we have One Night Only, The Greatest Hits Live, now with Universal Records after MCA got deleted. And then on to Songs from the West Coast. Next, we have Greatest Hits 1970 to 2002, which was first released with a bonus disc containing 4 tracks here in the States. Shortly after, this was removed and you can only get the 2 CD set in stores instead of the 3. Up next comes Peachtree Road, which much now in the age of internet at this time. Major piracy was going along and basically ruined the looks of this disc. Look at that. FBI warning all the way around the damn thing. Technology sometimes ruins things for everybody. Up next is The Captain and the Kid, which is the sequel to 1975's Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. This time the piracy thing doesn't affect this much and actually is a pretty cool looking disc. Then we've got Rocket Man #1s. Which is a CD, DVD combo. And then the last of the studio albums, his most recent release with Leon Russell, The Union, on Decca and Rocket. This is the deluxe CD that comes with a DVD. Forgot how this opens. There we go. The bonus DVD is basically a short 6-minute clip preview for Cameron Crowe's documentary on the making of the Union, which we had to wait year and a half for it to actually be released. Now on to some extra bonus stuff. We've got Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, the Classic Years release from Rocket. Looks like a little record. And we've got Here and There, the Classic Years, which contains basically buku bonus tracks than the original Here and There, which had 9 total tracks. This I'm not even going to count, I can't remember, but it's like the album's length is like tripled or even quadrupled. 2-disc set, live in London. Ooh. Live at Madison Square Garden. And then we come to a 1997 release of Blue Moves, digitally remastered. This was released by MCA. This is the first full release of this album since its original release in 1976 on LP, with the exception of a few cassette releases. Then we move on to a Rocket Universal reissue of The Fox. Now we have got Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, the 30th Anniversary Deluxe Edition SACD Super Audio Compact Disc release. Up next in the deluxe editions series for Elton, we've got Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy Deluxe Edition, which disc 1 contains a few bonus tracks that were recorded around that time. Disc 2 was the 1975 concert from June 31st, where Elton and his new band performed the entire album live before the album was released. Alright, we are now in the home stretch. Continuing on with the deluxe editions, we now have Elton's self-titled, which is 2 discs, and disc 2 basically contains all of the demos of the original songs and some songs that were done before this album came out, back when he was still focused on trying to get his career started in England, along with a few like BBC sessions that he did for the BBC. Then we've got Tumbleweed Connection Deluxe Edition. This one, you got the original album, disc 1. Disc 2 is the bonus disc that's got basically demos of some of the songs from the original album and some songs that never made the cut, but they were demos, but yet never were actually recorded for the album. Now comes these little oddball CDs. We've got Chartbusters Go Pop, 16 legendary covers from 1969-70 as sung by Elton John. These are all cover songs of songs that he did when he was still a session man for those like supermarket labels, the compilation albums of the hits of the day. You know, we've got like Natural Sinner, Spirit in the Sky, Traveling Band, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. And there were multiple issues of that type of album. Here we've got 16 legendary covers as sung by Elton John on a different label from that one. That one was Purple Pyramid. This one is Madison Entertainment. Then we've got 6 legendary covers as sung by Elton John. This one was on Direct Source label. There are other issues of that, but I don't got them yet. Now on to some singles. Of course, Something About the Way You Look Tonight, Candle in the Wind, 1997, for Princess Diana. Then we've got the remixed EP, which contains remixes of Are You Ready for Love, 2 of them, the 79 radio edit and the Ashley Bettles Love and Protection mono edit. The acoustic mix of Candle in the Wind, which actually was on the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road 30th Anniversary Edition. Then we've got Rocket Man 03, which actually, before this, was an EP that was released, but was not very many made. I don't have that. And then a remix of Song for Guy. Then we've got the Are You Ready for Love EP, which was on Ultra and Southern Fried Records. It's got the 79 radio edit, full-length 79 version, 3-way love affair, and the MPEG video for Are You Ready for Love that was redone in a cartoon style. Then I've got, here's an oddball, the Believe single. This is Australian release. of the Believe single. It contains Believe, a live version of Believe, and a live version of Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word. Then we've got the Original Sin radio edit. This is a promotion. Whoops. Drop it. It's almost a sin. My Original Sin. No. A promo issue, basically a DJ copy. Now we move on. I've got this separate because just the way it is, because of what it is. We've got the Lion King soundtrack. I basically got this separate because this is not entirely Elton. And now I've got a release of Greatest Hits Volume 2 on the Carrere label, which this lists Benny and the Jets instead of Levon. I believe this is a French release, but it's in English. I'm not too sure. Rob wouldn't quote me on that. Then we also got on the Carrere label, The Superior Sound of Elton John, 1970 to 1975. This was made for the simple fact that compact discs were coming along. This was made for compact disc, even though it was released on cassettes, a few, but mainly on LP, along with the compact disc. This did not turn out too well because Gus Dudgeon was given very little time to do this, to remix and remaster these. And during that, one of the speakers in the studio blew, so he was actually working with one channel of sound trying to mix the stereo audio. Now we've got a UK only release, basically. Lady Samantha on compact disc. This is on the DJM label. That was originally released in the 70s on DJM. But then compact disc came along and they released it. Now, for the time being, we are moving on. Now we are going to the lovely Laura Branigan. Here I've got On Atlantic, her first album, Branigan. Then also on Atlantic, her second album, Branigan 2, from 1983. Branigan was from 82. Then on to 1984's Self-Control. Then on to 1987's Touch. Then 1990's self-titled Laura Branigan with CD plus G. CD plus graphics. And yes, I have seen the CDG part. There is a plugin for Winamp for it, so you can use Winamp to view it. On to 1993's Over My Heart. And then Laura's final studio album. Well, kind of. It is compilation. The Best of Branigan. So technically Over My Heart was her final studio release. Now we're moving on to a guy who is serious but mainly known for silliness. Here we've got on Polygram Mercury, The Best of Ray Stevens. Very funny man. Love Ray. He is just so funny. Then we've got Ray Stevens Greatest Hits on RCA. Then we move on to He Thinks He's Ray Stevens on MCA. Then we've got Ray Stevens Collector's Series on RCA. Then another Greatest Hits, this one MCA. Few different tracks than the RCA version. Then we've got Crackin' Up on MCA. Then comes Get the Best of Ray Stevens, 20 tracks on MCA. Then Greatest Hits Volume 2 on MCA. Then we've got I Never Made a Record I Didn't Like, also on MCA. Then we've got Beside Myself on MCA. And finally, well, not finally actually, then we've got Lend Me Your Ears from Curb Records. Then we've got, finally, on the Collectibles label, 2 albums on one, Nashville and Boogity Boogity, which is the album that spawned the #1 smash hit, The Streak. And no, I am not going to go streaking. I do not. 1, I am too fat. 2, I don't want my naked butt on YouTube and then get reported. Because, well, hell, even now, it is a crime just to see me naked. No. So, we're pretty much done here, except for, basically, I've got a Polydor issue of Madman and Greatest Hits and Tumbleweed Connection, and then my last CD I'm going to show you all. 21 at 33 on the Rocket Record Company West German pressing with, I call, the Bullet Train Arrow logo. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Bye.